trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got Cliff Martin who has joined, so thanks for joining, Cliff. Do you want to start by introducing yourself and letting everyone know what health issues you've had previously, how you've dealt with them, and how long these have been going on?
Yeah, no problem. I've suffered with IBS type symptoms for as long as I can remember. But it all came to a head about a year ago when I sort of hit rock bottom and went off to the doctors and got prescribed antidepressants. I seemed to have a really nasty reaction to those, and it put everything into overdrive. And I basically thought I was going to die. I felt so poorly. I was virtually bedridden, and yeah, not very nice at all. As I began to sort of improve with the help of my family, you know, things started to get better. I hadn't really changed anything at this point in time. Obviously, I probably should rewind and just say I didn't take the antidepressants, you know, because I had such a bad reaction to them. So that was a no-no. I've been to the doctors and had comprehensive blood tests, and they all came back absolutely normal. But I felt really, really poorly. Even going to the doctors was a really difficult thing for me to do. You know, I've just got no energy. I felt faint all the time, lightheaded, and my stomach was in knots. And well, like I say, things started to improve slightly, and I was left with a bunch of symptoms, which was basically, I'll just run through the list of them. I seemed to be hungry all the time. I was convinced I was diabetic, but I was tested for that, and no, I wasn't diabetic. So yeah, I had this really nasty hungry feeling, as if I just wasn't getting sustenance off anything I ate. Yeah. I'd got lightheadedness, sort of slightly blurred vision, as if you're sort of tipsy all the time. I had all the classic IBS symptoms like bloating, tummy ache, loose stools, etc. I also suffered with tension headaches and seasonal allergies, which I've had seasonal allergies for years, mainly hay fever. Anxiety was massive. I'd suffered from anxiety for years and years, and could never get to the bottom of it. And yeah, it just went into mega overdrive, as you can probably appreciate. When you think you're on your last legs, you know, you're pretty worried about it. So they were the symptoms, basically.
Okay, and how severe? You've touched upon, like, you know, these symptoms were quite severe at times, and you were bedridden. How can you just talk people through what that was like living on a daily basis with those symptoms?
Very, very scary. It is looking back even now. I can't even sort of remember what it was like, because it was just so out of character. I mean, to put things into perspective, I'm self-employed. I've got a children's day nursery, and I'm in my I'm 56, but in my total working life, I've had 2 days off sick. So for it actually to stop me from working, you know, is pretty drastic, because normally I would just get up and go. If I felt poorly, well, I'm self-employed, I'm the boss, you know, it doesn't, I don't care what other people think, you know, if I'm not very well, type of thing. You know, there's a job that needs doing, and I would do it, you know, as long as I could stand on my 2 feet. But it was so bad that I literally couldn't support myself. You know, I had to lay down. Just thinking about it now actually is bringing back some of the anxieties over it. I didn't know what to eat to try and give me some energy. I kept thinking, what am I lacking in? I visited the doctors I saw 9 different doctors basically. And in the end, the last doctor I saw, I think she just thought I was wasting their time because the blood tests came back okay. She turned her chair around, looked me in the face and said, look, Cliff, she said, I think this is your lot in life. You better go away and deal with it, which felt really horrible, you know, that I was getting no support basically from the doctors either. So yeah, I haven't been back since. Luckily, I've managed to find you, Simon, and you know, you've put me on the road to recovery basically. Yeah.
Okay. And at the point you saw your doctor, what were your next steps after that? Obviously, if you went and saw your doctor and they're not particularly useful, you saw multiple different doctors. The point at which you saw your last doctor and they said, look, this is your lot, we can't really do anything else for you. What was your mindset at that stage, and what kind of led you to my channel?
Right. Yeah. Well, I was rock bottom, as you can imagine. One thing that the doctors did were helpful with, they sort of said, I think you ought to go for CBT lessons, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, to try and help you with your anxiety. Well, I was open to doing anything. So, yeah, I did those. I also booked myself in with a private psychotherapist, which was very helpful, talking through all the issues. But it wasn't getting to the root of the problem. And it wasn't till sort of further on, probably this time last year, that I actually realised that I say realised, I had the inkling that it was diet related. And so I did actually go and see a local dietitian, and but she was reluctant to do any testing, and I felt that the you know, the best way forward was to get tested for, you know, to find out what was wrong, and then we'd know how to proceed from there. So obviously I started doing what everybody does, and jumped on Google and soon found you, and you know, I realized you were offering these tests, and so, you know, it's understandably you know, a difficult decision to make because of the cost of them. Yeah. Having said that, now in hindsight, obviously it was the best thing I ever did. So you know, I obviously booked on and got the tests done, which were very straightforward, and you know, then we found out what was the issue and we knew what we were dealing with.
Yeah. So for everyone who's listening, so back in April we did some testing, and I produced a guide and plan for Cliff to follow. Now the tests identified some Clostridia bacterial issues, a significant oxalate problem, a small parasite issue, and you also had some fat malabsorption issues at play. Do you want to explain to everyone what you thought of kind of the process you started touching upon there, the actual process itself, and then what you thought subsequently of the plan and anything you particularly liked or disliked about the process.
Yeah. Right. Well, it was very easy to follow. You gave me clear instructions via emails, and explained in depth about all the issues I had and how we were going to deal with them. And it was mainly through various supplements, and which you gave me a link to find them on the net, and so I quickly got started on the supplements. And yeah, it took time to start making a difference, but slowly and surely, I began to feel better, and the symptoms started slowly getting less and less. And
do you want to explain just how long that process takes? So just so people with IBS, anxiety and things like that, they can get an appreciation of how long that took.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say I'm probably 95% now. But I think with any of these things, you've got to think back to how long it took you to get in the mess in the first place. And, you can't expect something like this to be cleared up in, a matter of months. But you can, when I say a matter of months, I mean a few months. But you can make a lot of difference in that time, and then life becomes bearable. It was unbearable before. So it very quickly became apparent that things were improving, which then gives you the confidence and to go forward and continue with the program, because it's working.
Okay. And what were the symptoms that you first noticed that were starting to reduce in intensity?
Well, I think the first thing to go really was the sort of IBS symptoms, the bloating, the tummy ache, the sort of stomach cramps, and they began to clear up quite quickly, really. And the anxiety sort of seemed to almost, I wouldn't say it went overnight, but it seemed to go very quickly. And I think that was probably the fact that my body was getting what it was craving for, basically. The sort of lightheadedness and hungry after eating, that seemed to take a lot longer to improve. And so did the seasonal allergies. But it's all been sort of a slow road, but there has been week to week improvement. And while you keep improving, obviously that gives you an enormous boost in confidence. Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest though, I haven't, I am working now. I'm very fortunate that I'm self-employed and that my business will generate an income whether I'm there or not. But for somebody who is working for a company, I think it's going to take a good few months, if not 6 months or so, before you can get back to doing part-time work if you were in the state I was in.
Yeah, absolutely. And where would you say your symptoms are now with everything? So what's your quality of life now as opposed to kind of a year ago?
Oh, complete turnaround. Like I say, I'd say I'm 95% now. I'm a little bit anxious now as I'm doing this YouTube video, but the anxiety has gone, basically. The day-to-day anxiety where I was getting up every morning and feeling absolutely awful with anxiety. It was so heightened. I mean, I was before I had all of these problems. You know, I used to take diazepam regularly, and you know, I'd have a lot of stomach issues where I'd take sort of Andrews and Rennie and Gaviscon and that type of thing. So, you know, I don't touch anything like that now. The only thing that I'm taking now is vitamin B12. I don't need any other medication. You know, it's remarkable really how this has addressed all these long-standing issues, and it just shows that you are what you eat, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and in terms of diet, obviously before there were lots of gas and bloating and things like that. How much diversity and range of foods have you got at the moment?
Well, I was diagnosed wheat intolerant years ago, and so I haven't really been brave enough to try any wheat as such. Having said that, my daughter made some chocolate brownies, and I thought they were wheat free or gluten free, I should say, and I ate one. And I thought, oh no, what have I done? I'm going to be bad now. But it just didn't do anything. I was absolutely fine. Having said that, I wouldn't be confident to eat any wheat, or you know, I still lead a gluten-free life. Apart from that, I eat anything basically. I'm vegan. I've only been vegan probably for about a year. I've been vegetarian for a long time, and I ask myself the question now: why wasn't I vegan years ago? Considering, you know, all the issues that are there. Yeah, veganism seems to work for me. And the only thing I would say is I do steer clear of anything with refined sugar in it. I'm not saying I don't eat anything like that,
yeah,
but it doesn't seem to. I don't crave anything like that, but I don't think it helps. And also, I think going back to before I was ill, I used to often snack on sort of sugary things that obviously I knew weren't good for me, but they were to hand, and that's what I used to do. Now I realise the issues with them. I steer clear of them. So, yeah.
Final question then. Any advice for anyone who is currently in a similar situation, you know, as you were in sort of 12 months ago, in terms of IBS, gas and bloating, anxiety, those type of problems?
Right. Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully, you know, they will. Well, they've obviously met you via your channel, but I would just say, look, I know it's a lot of expense, but testing is vital in my experience. I think the thing is, you don't know what you're dealing with until you're tested. You know, you can't sort of guess these issues. Get the tests. You soon forget the expense. When you start feeling better, you realise then that it was so worth it. And, you know, all I can say is I was at rock bottom, and you've turned, you know, with the help of you, you've turned my life round. You know, I can't thank you enough, and I can't recommend you enough. Yeah.
No, that's really kind, but I think ultimately it's kind of you're the one who's done kind of the hard graft and hard lifting. Um, so yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I think that gives everyone a good sort of idea of kind of where you've come from, where you're heading at the moment. So I've just been really impressed working with you. Everything that I've suggested you do, you've taken on board. No issues there at all, which has been really, really good. So yeah, I just want to say, look, it's been a pleasure working with you. I look forward to sort of continuing to work with you moving forward. We've got maybe another 5% or so to get you to back to optimal health. But yeah, it's just been a real pleasure getting to know you. I look forward to kind of continuing to work with you moving forward. Yeah, thanks so much for your time today.
No problem. No problem.